Don Global presents the DG Recruit podcast on everything headhunting and recruitment. Achieve the life and career you envision. What's up, game changers? It's your host, Don, founder of Don Global, the headhunting and career coaching company helping you achieve the life and career you envision.
In today's DG Recruit episode, I am going to regale you the tales of how I build over 600,000 in really I think it was a year on a completely new market being executive search. Now, I have to preface this with this was my last year working at the recruitment firm I started out at before I quit. If I was working with the diligence and the passion and the longevity in mind that I had in year one of my career, I have no doubt I could have built over $1 million on that desk. Sadly, I just did not have any more reason to continue working at the firm I was working at, because at that point, my real estate had jumped over $400,000 and I had over $500,000 in equity that was waiting for me to deal with. So I went full time into real estate investing, as many of you may know, in 2016 when I quit my job. Funny enough, a week after my initial start date, which is just so weird, in 5 years, right? So I quit my job on the nose, 5 years, 1 month. And the last commission check I got was around $27,000 and it was good. But I left because all my starters had started and I dragged it out. It was really awkward leaving the rest of the year. Because I knew I was going to leave. I knew I was going to leave. So I had to close all these deals, take care of the clients I had. And it's kind of sad because I never bid my adieu to them. I never really said goodbye the way I should have. But I just knew I wasn't going to do pharmaceutical recruiting ever again. It just was not my passion at all. I did it for the money. It was great. I made the goal that I had was help people make a lot of money. Obviously, help people, you will make a lot of money. That's kind of how the world works. And I did a really nice job. So today I'm going to share with you how I did that, because that was a new market, executive search. So at the time in 2014, I was going to quit my job and go join a company in Denver. Funny enough, helmed by one of my old colleagues. And he was going to actually help me get into contract recruiting, because frankly, contract recruiting pays a lot better than perm recruiting does. And I'm a salesperson, so contract recruiting actually really suits people like me. I was dating someone at the time. I decided not to go because my company knew this and they wooed me to stay because they were like, why would you leave your boyfriend? So I stayed on the same base salary because I'm an idiot and I don't know how to stand up for myself, which is why I'm so passionate about what I do at DG Recruit, right? I was never able to advocate for myself. It is something still that I deeply regret to this day. And I let myself be bashed around time and time again by my first and frankly, clearly going to be my only employer, right? So anyways, at the time they told me, hey, we want you to start executive search. And that's going to be the big win for you. See, instead of doing 30 to 50K deals, you can now do 100K deals. Isn't that great? It is great, but my dumb ass forgot the fact that I'm going to have to go get all those clients because we've never, ever done executive search before. At the time, my colleagues on the West Coast were also experimenting with executive search, but they're busy with West Coast stuff. Obviously, my job was to go after East Coast stuff. So I did what I thought. I created my own little system, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. This is literally what I did in that whole year to generate over $600,000 of revenue. Maybe more. I'm not even calculating every single cent. I'm just remembering some of the key highlights that I did. But I'm going to walk you through how I did it so that you can see if you can use some of the similar techniques, if not copy my exact playbook. And this could be a whole course. I know it could be. Eventually I'll get around to it. But today you're going to get it for free. And I'm going to try to get as detailed as I can. But don't blame me if it's not perfect, because you know how I love to go on my tangents. Anywho, so today's podcast, again, big story is we're going to go through how to do executive search, how I did it particularly, and then you can use some of these strategies to put into your own business. All right, so let's begin. The first thing I did, since I had, again, no candidates, was that I put out a lot of ads. All right. So this is what you have to do if you have no clients. First of all, you need candidates, and you can't do anything if you don't have candidates to leverage, to sell. And that's what I've always done, is I've always gotten the candidate first, and then I sell them. I lock them down on exclusive, and I sell them out to the market. And they want to do that because candidates are motivated by confidentiality. They actually enjoy that process. Some of this might be news to you. Some of this may be something you're already doing. But this is what I noticed. When I talk to a candidate, I can get them to like me faster. I can get them to trust me, not in the sense that I know pharmaceutical world, okay? Because I don't give a rat's ass. And funniest story today, I was talking to a junior recruiter, and I was explaining to him how I don't even remember, or at the time even knew, any company like drug names. I shit you not. That's how little I give a crap about drugs and the pharma world. I would represent the top name brands. And not once did I have to tell my candidate coming out of a top firm what the other company's working on. They already knew that. So it's hilarious because I never even remembered any of the drug names. And that's just to show you that headhunters, our job is not to know the market. The market knowledge is not that important. It's like tertiary. The most important thing actually is how much your customer, your candidate, trusts you. And that does not mean a war of wits like, I know all the drug names, do you? That's not the trick. The trick is, do you understand how to sell me? Do you understand and have the capability of reaching out to venture capital funds so that you can represent me in a meaningful, reputable way? That's what the customer needs to know. Again, they're not calculating how much pharmaceutical knowledge you have. What they're trying to assess is this person going to give me what I want as a passive candidate? What do you think these people want? They want representation at the highest levels with customer service at the forefront. So let's talk a little bit about what they want and what does customer service look like. Candidates want career coaching. They want coaching. So when you talk to them, you need to show them that you understand and have knowledge of what is good advice for professionals. Because if you cannot illustrate that ASAP, the candidate will not give you exclusivity, first of all, and they will think you're full of shit because you probably are, right? Like if a lot of us get into recruiting, we have to learn career advice, right? Like you have to learn it, and you're going to learn through osmosis most of the time because you're going to see it play out in different scenarios. You're going to have represented candidates who shouldn't have tried to represent themselves, and understand in the future, you're going to tell a candidate, hey, don't do that, right? You're going to tell a candidate, hey, you shouldn't interview actually in a really good spot. You should talk to your manager and get a salary bump. Now you're going to have a knowledgeable piece of advice to give people. And over time, as a headhunter, you will have learned that. So by the time I started doing executive search, I had already been a global top biller for 3 consecutive years, and also a manager of my own staff. So I know the challenges that come with that. And I also managed my family's restaurant back in the day. So I had a lot of career knowledge to directly at age 26 do executive search, because I could already speak to a level using fancy language, and trust me, I would whip out the big words. And I know that did not sound impressive, but when you get me into that intellectual zone, I will use those SAT words that scored me a 740 on the English. I will absolutely use those words, right? Because I study these communication patterns. I read a lot of books. I use a lot of these common catchphrases that executives use. So especially to do executive search, you got to speak the same language. You got to use similar verbiage. Use the key words that people, radical candor, all those things you got to talk about, the gender pay gap, blah, 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 diversity initiatives. You need to know all the things that the current business world knows about and is talking about, and use those conversations to drive meaningful connection. And so when you're talking to these senior people, you have to sound pretty goddamn articulate, right? And I never swear. When I did a pharmaceutical recruiting, I never swear, because that whole crew of people is relatively, prestigious, and they're from the Ivy Leagues, and it's not like finance where it's very bro-y. Pharmaceutical recruitment is very, very intellectual. It's very knowledge oriented. So when you speak to them, you want to speak in a highly elevated, elegant way. Whereas if I was doing finance recruiting, I'd probably be swearing like a sailor, like I do today. Today, you hear me swearing all the time because I'm talking to you guys. You all happen to be recruiters. Recruiters freaking love swearing. If we don't swear, we go crazy. Like, you have to kind of swear in this crazy job, right? I don't know. Maybe you're just perfect. I'm not like that. I have to swear all day to like make sure that I can be sane. But anyways, so you want to copy your executive pattern, right? Because nowadays, if I don't swear, am I talking to a recruiter? It actually hurts the rapport building process because they're like, are you a real thing? Like, do you really speak my language if we can't get real on that level? Right? So with recruiters and with my current clientele, you trust me, I'm out there. I'm swearing. I'm being me, all the way me. Before, I always had a filter because that's what that environment called for. So you adapt to your environment. All right, back to square one. Put out ads. You put out ads like C-level, venture cap. You act as if, and here again, I'm not telling you what is Jesus gonna do. I'm just telling you what happens in the real world. Okay, so if you're gonna judge me, this is like not true, or you're kind of misleading people, do whatever you want. Business doesn't actually care how you feel. I'm just gonna tell you what worked for me. So I put out ads first of all to say C-level opportunities. Want to talk to top people. I put up a bunch of ads. I don't even remember what exactly I put out. It's been a while. So I just put out a lot of ads, right? Just all over. Our firm at the time had a lot of job ad slots. We also had our own job ad things. And then you just put out some advertisements. Then you start getting candidates to submit their information. And the second step was where I really hit the ground, hit the pavement. And I don't know how much of this is applicable now because obviously COVID really changed things up. But I would have conversations with them and then I would go straight to meeting. I would really pitch meetings because the whole point is to use my candidates to educate me because I don't know. I don't freaking know, right? I kind of understand a chief marketing officer, chief medical officer, chief scientific officer. I kind of know, COO, CEO even. I kind of know what they may be looking like and sounding like. But you never really will know until you've met a significant amount of these people. So with every single market that I open up, it's guaranteed that the first people I'm going to meet in the first 1 to 3 months are going to be the worst people I will meet because you don't know anything, right? So when I started recruiting regulatory writers, the first 1 to 3 months was learning, oh, wow, that person's not good at all through trial and error. Versus what year 1 through 3, where at that point you're like, I can smell you a mile away. Same for executive search, right? Like if you have not met any of these people or know what they look like or have evaluated their backgrounds, then you don't know what a good candidate does and what a bad candidate does. So it was my personal preference to book a crap ton of meetings because the company pays for it. I love to eat and I don't mind driving, right? I don't mind driving to Jersey, good old Jersey and Philadelphia. So a couple memories I have of that time was like I would go to these fancy restaurants and some of these really bad candidates, they would make you meet them at the nicest places because they're scrubs. All right. They're freaking scrubs and they live these lavish lifestyles and they're lo and behold unemployed. It's very sad. So that's why they're talking to me because they're at the bottom of the totem pole. And at the very least, I can learn some information. So that's kind of what happened. I spent a lot of meetings meeting really subpar candidates that are not fee worthy, but I learned enough so that I could be better when I talk to the next client and the next candidate, right? So it's just refining your process. Now, what did I do with these people beyond just meeting up for food? Obviously, you can't just sit there and eat in silence. So what I tried to do was, I come to them with a plan and I would test this kind of pitch to them, right? I would see what works and what doesn't work, what appeals to them, what doesn't appeal to them. And the package that I ultimately settled on was, hey, we're going to take your resume and we're going to edit it. We're going to create this beautiful document that's going to be really professionally done. And that's a free service to you. Now, people like free things and people hate doing their resumes. So this is a win-win for them and for me. For me, it's a multiple win because I can use this resume and I can blind it and I could use it as a prospecting tool. Obviously, that's classic recruitment sales, right? So it's helpful to have a roster, a book of these beautifully designed resumes that sound legitimate, look legitimate, because they're kind of based on real people. So that's the whole idea of the program that I would pitch these candidates. Next, I would pitch them beyond the resume. What would I do? Because that's not enough. I want your references. And I was able to get these people to cough up their references, because what I would do is take the highlights of the reference call and slide it into page 2 of what I would again create for them, something called an executive summary. Now, an executive summary on the first page has my beautiful company name and the branding and some key background information. So it'll say board certified endocrinologist. It'll say worked at large pharmaceutical companies, 2 or 3 of them over a span of 10 years. Currently working on X, Y, and Z. And then on the second page, I would have all of their beautiful references that I just compiled, a few key word pieces, right? It'll say, this person, I would like make it real official. It'll say this CMO, right? In parentheses, wherever you call those weird squiggly things. This CMO, blobbity, blobbity, blobbity. And it would be right from the horse's mouth. So this shit sounded so damn real because it was real. It's a legitimate document, right? It's a legitimate document. So it sounds and looks and feels real, except all the titles are there, but all the names and the company names are all removed. Drug names, everything's removed. And I would have these beautiful done up documents, and I would just go ham on this shit. I would send it to every single C-level goddamn person in the world. And this takes time because I don't just waltz into a whole database full of C-level people. I'm manually going through companies and experimenting with their email formats every single minute of the day, because I have to constantly try to refine, did this get to the goddamn CEO? Like, did it make it through? And obviously it'll say, no, it didn't. And then I would try a different email. Then finally I'd know, it's that email. I didn't even have Zoom info, y'all. I just freaking manually did this shit. And it works. It's not rocket science. You just got to practice enough and try enough. So then, bam, you have this whole list of prospects. It could be hundreds and thousands. Literally, like none is enough. Thousands of prospects. And then eventually I would try to customize it. So if I had a lung guy, I would try to sell him to a lung company. I did a little bit of research. But, these venture capital funds, they work with a crap ton of different markets. So I could get an oncologist. Now, oncologists go for good money. I could get that oncologist out. There was COPD. There's all these different therapeutic areas. And I could work on that to get it through to every single company as a send-in, like candidate, a sell-in, right? I would do a send-out, as we would call it. So the clients are getting this type of mailer all the time. And the mailer is written so well that the client, A, believes that it's real, which is critical. They have to know that it's a high quality prospecting email, not some bullshit like con artist. And obviously my LinkedIn is on there, so they can like click onto my LinkedIn and see that I have recommendations, that I work at a reputable, pharmaceutical company, that I'm like setting up. And mind you, I only had 4 years of recruitment experience. I'm 26 years old. Clients don't even care because they only care about what? The product. If you have the product, they don't give a crap where you come from, what you look like, what you do. Obviously, there are bigoted people, but that's beyond what I can speak to, right? I'm this little tiny Asian girl, 26 years in. Like, I don't think most people would say, oh, that's the girl I'm going to give this big ass search to. But that's how I got these searches. Because I kept sending these really high quality documents. And I would meet some powerful people by pitching them this program. And then the candidates would be like, fuck yeah, I want that. Why wouldn't I want that? I want an executive summary. I want this beautiful done up portfolio that you just created for me. And I would give it to them. Hey, when I'm done with this shit, you have it. Here, take it. This is what's going to go out to the market. This is exactly what's going to look like when I represent you across the market. In fact, why don't you tell me which companies you want to get in with? You tell me who those people are. I'm your exclusive representation. I can reach out to these people day in and day out of my day. I don't do anything else with my free time. My free time is literally to do this all day long. And it behooves me because it's how I eat. When the candidates understand that that is the incentive, that that's your game, and you can tell them straight up, and I'm never one to mince words. I would tell them, I'm not going to put your name anywhere to hurt myself, because if I blindly submit you random places, I cannot guarantee that I'll get my fee paid. And also, I look like a dumbass in front of my clients, and I will not allow that to happen. I'm very professional. Right? Like I have a reputation to guard for. I'm going to be here for a while. I'm not just going to like be a con artist, right? So I'm a very serious professional, and you have to explain it with gusto, right? They will not believe you if you're like, this is how my program works. Does that sound good to you? Does that sound exciting? Blah, 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 blah. Sell with some goddamn passion. Right? I've gotten so many terrible sales prospecting calls where I can just tell they're running through their scripts, their stupid scripts, their terrible scripts, their fake ass bullshit scripts that they sell every single client on because it's a numbers game to them. That is the worst thing a salesperson can do. And headhunters are the ultimate salespeople. I expect the best out of a headhunter because we are an exquisite class of people who are highly talented, doing something that very few people can do. And we must live up to that image. We must live up to that level of expertise. And it's not selling a widget. It's not selling Verizon products. It is selling a person's life and a person, a human being, somebody of value, so much value that we are going to get 90,000 to 100,000 fees off of, right? So let me get back to the point. So then I send these mailers out, and obviously the body of the email is pretty much like copy and paste, but it's again done in an exquisite way where the client doesn't feel like I'm spamming them, right? Because if I'm just spamming them and it's shit copy, clients are gonna fucking kill you. You're done. You're out of the game. They're gonna block you and call you a clown. That doesn't work either. So you have to send really good copy, and that's a whole nother conversation for another day. Happy to talk about that, talk about what candidate sell-ins should look like. But anyways, send-outs should look like, and obviously how to sell your candidate. But anyways, so back to this point, then I would get the rec. Then I would convert to a meeting. Of course. I want to freaking drive out to meet you. You're freaking $100,000 fees, and I'm not going to see your face. Of course I'm going to come and see you because I'm going to sell you on why you need to work with me. Now, I'll be very honest with you. I just started doing executive search. I'm not going to charge 35% because I personally don't even know the bearing of the land yet, and I'm genuinely happy with 25. Now, you might critique me and say, well, you should ask for more. But I just want the rec at that point. I need to get a move on, right? Like, I don't have time to go back and forth, argue my value at 35%, because frankly, I'm not going to do a market map. I'm not going to give you a freaking 30 hours worth of research up front. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm pitching contingent on I don't even care if it's exclusive, by the way. I just want contingent. I just need you to look at my candidates and let me start submitting these people because I need to get a move on. So that was one of my first clients in New York City in Columbus Circle. Beautiful office, old man, very nice, very sweet, relatively quiet. We just built rapport with him. My boss even came with me at a very little value, by the way, because he obviously doesn't know what he's doing. He just wanted to be there because he wanted to feel like he was part of the effort, even though he wasn't. Lots of reasons why I left my old firm. But anyways, so I show up. And my boss is in tow, just speaking his English in his English accent. And I'm hanging out with the CEO. And I'm like, these are the different people I have in my portfolio. And I literally start grabbing. I printed out all these beautiful executive summaries. And I literally started giving them to him. Which one do you like? Which one is relevant? What about this guy? What about that guy? He's like, oh, this one looks good. Oh, that one's not very relevant. This one looks good. And I'm like, great. Well, tell me more about who you want and what they look like. Back to square one. It's the same shit. Get the freaking JD. Same thing. Job description. Tell me what you need. Tell me more details about the rec. We are not reinventing the wheel here, right? Just give me the information. Okay, what's the salary band? How much are you going to pay these people? All right, I can pay them on the low end, $275. I can pay them up to $350. Okay, we're good. And that's how your girl got 3 placements at $90,000. Right? Because I just got 3 of these people. And I would meet them too. I drove out to meet them too. I would invite them to come. One guy was from Philly, so he drove in for the interview, and I took him out to eat. One lady was from Jersey. I think I met her in Jersey because I was happy to go and meet her. She got placed. She was lovely. Another guy, I honestly don't even remember my 3rd placement with them. But funny story, 2 years later, when I'm retired on a boat in New York, Manhattan, on some Asian networking event, I met a guy who works for the CEO. And I was like, yo, I used to recruit for y'all. Are those 3 people still there? And he told me they were. I was like, such a small world. So funny. Full circle. That's just a side little funny note. So that was one client that I did 3 deals with, $90K each. around thereabouts. I think one was like 85 and one was like 92, like anywhere 80 to 90K each. Then I got another client doing the same exact thing. I just sent out all these emails to these venture capital funds. And then I pitched for a meeting. I'm like, yo, let's talk on the phone, because guess what? Let me tell you something. These people are very smart and game recognize game. When you write really strong copy and when your shit is tight, they want to talk to you because they're like, yo, this person actually seems legit. Because guess what? All the other bullshit reach outs they get is like way, way worse. Trust me on that. Those shitty emails that these people see, it's enough to fill a whole garbage truck, dump truck. So when they see a competent email float into their inbox, they're going to pay a little bit of attention. They at least won't directly send you to spam right away. They won't immediately do that because you're sending them a freaking good ass product right off the bat. They're like, this looks pretty good. Like, it's actually kind of relevant. I kind of want to see what this lady's going to send me next week. That's what they're thinking. That's why they haven't blocked your ass yet. So then you wait a little, you send them some more, and then they finally bite. All right, let's freaking talk. They're in New York City too. I went out to meet them. This is a fancy office, even fancier. Younger guys, they're in their 40s, very fancy people. And I go there and I pish posh and present myself well, talk about my exclusive process. I give them exact play of what I do with candidates. I'm like, literally, this is what I do. I get their references up front. These are all real people. These are part of my portfolio. Every minute of the day, I'm making friends with these people. This is my job. I'm a professional networker. I'm a high-level networker. That's my job as a headhunter. And if you are my client, you will get to see the candidates that I get. And you will get to tell me which candidates I should go and find for you. All right. So that's the benefit of you being my client. That particular client, I agreed 25% terms with contingent as well, because I did not want to waste any more time. I wanted more clients. I wanted more deals. I wanted more places to shop my candidate out at, because at this point, I don't have enough volume on the candidate side in terms of what to show them. If I really want to win my candidate over, I need to have multiple sites to show them. And I'm just building out my practice. So I need more sites. So I said, let's go 25%, all good. I put out an ad. And executive search, I swear to God, so easy to get candidates. You put out an ad and they freaking apply. This amazing guy from a top pharmaceutical company. It's like freaking genius dude with like patents to his name. Lovely guy, by the way, lovely personality. And that's what I love about executives. They're so goddamn nice. They're so professional and I love it. They're just such like highly regulated and just inspiring people. Anyways, so this dude, I'm like, yo, let's meet up. I see his freaking amazing profile pop up. It's a terrible resume, by the way. Terrible, really bad resume. I'm like, wow, this looks like a gem, but like, it's just so ugly. Like this gem is so unpolished. It really needs a redo. So then I go, hey man, let's meet up. You seem really cool. Let me work on your resume. Let's get this sorted out. And I met him for coffee at Panera. So that's a good thing. Good candidates, ironically, are chill as shit. They'll meet you anywhere. They'll meet you at Starbucks. They'll meet you at Panera. The shitty clients, one made me go to her mansion. One made me go to freaking golf course to meet him. Blech, puke in my mouth. Like all posers. The real good candidates, they don't need that shit. They're like freaking legitimate and they're humble. And that's why they're so successful. Because they're not phonies, right? There's a lot of phonies in executive search because they get by on privilege. They get by on prestige, on word of mouth, but not on capability. The people with the capability are less like bothered when it comes to prestige and poser behavior. Side note. Again, I'm going on a tangent. You know, I love that. Anyways, back to the story. So I go and meet this dude at freaking Panera. And I'm like, this guy's a freaking walking, talking genius at like the best company ever. And so I get him over to this client of mine in New York and they freaking fall in love with him. $400,000 base salary, $100,000 goes to your girl. There's my other $400,000. Right? So slowly but surely and then that client ends up giving me 2 more recs for like a company that they're building. And I'm like, this is so sad because I'm not going to be doing this a long time. And I wasn't even working hard. I was just working half-mast because I knew I was going to leave. But I just wanted to share the story with you because that's literally how simple executive search is. So when people tell me executive search is so difficult or, oh, you need a whole team, I'm like, you're doing it so wrong. You're doing it so wrong. I can't even tell you. I'm telling you, if smart contingent people know how to sell to a higher level customer, we will lock all of that shit down. We'll put Korn Ferry, Russell Reynolds, like freaking Egon Zender, all of those people, Heidrick and Struggles, get them all out of business, because the bullshit they sell to clients makes me sick. Makes me sick, because these executive search firms, they don't fill like 40% of their retainers. That's a number that you can Google. A lot of them don't fill double digits worth of their retainers. I have never not filled a retainer when I could. It should never be that high. I mean, the not filling retainer rate should be very, very low. Like that, it shouldn't even happen. You should always be able to fill your searches, right? Or else you shouldn't take them. You shouldn't take them. So what that tells me is there's a lot of bullshit going on in the executive search sector. And I saw it with my own eyes. A lot of these candidates are genuine shit. And I'm like, wow, they're walking around acting like they're CMO when they're really not. They're barely even like workable. Like I cannot even represent these people with a straight smile on my face. This is lying, right? It's lying to my client. So anyways, I just wanted to share this with you because I genuinely believe that talented contingency people can do the best in high-end executive search. You just need to follow that exact plan I had, which I think is really hard to do because it's very time-consuming, because I'd have to sit there with top players and critique their resume. One guy actually got very sensitive and very upset at me, but I don't care. I'm just going to stand my ground. It was not a comfortable meeting. At least we walked out of there. He still respected me. And then some of the people that liked me, they really liked me. And we stay friends for even after I passed on. Right? They still stay friends. They were like, oh, I'm glad to see you're doing well. I remember you were always very good. Right? Because the good executives, they're really nice people and they're very sharp. They're very, very sharp. Game recognizes game every time. All right. So whatever you do, I hope you're doing it well. And I wish you only the best. If you have a piece of advice or question that you want to ask me of, and of course, if this podcast has made you even one extra progress on your searches, on your candidate control, on your business, financially even, drop me a review, please. I know. I see the metrics here. I get about 90 to 150 listens in the first week of every single episode. And I have not gotten a single extra review, and I'm at 42 reviews altogether. Please, for the love of God, if you like this podcast, drop me a line, throw a girl a bone. Please go on to iTunes, go on to wherever the heck you're listening to these podcasts on, and please review it and give me 5 stars only, please. 5 stars only, 5 stars only, and keep grinding out there.
I hope DG Recruit is helping you understand the realities, challenges, and opportunities when it comes to headhunting and recruitment. Whether you're already a top biller or an aspiring headhunter, I'd love to get to know you. Sign up at donnaglobal.com to stay in touch on all aspects of career coaching and headhunting. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll see you there. Thanks for tuning in to DG Recruit. This has been a production of Donna Global.